All right. So, hey, everyone. Welcome back to the RealTalkLaz podcast. I'm your host of the podcast, Laz. This is our 8th podcast, and I'm excited to have my brother, Chris, join us today. It's crazy. We've known each other for like 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun, it's crazy. And like our wives are, best friends, which is small world, how that like kind of reconciled back in the day. I remember Sam was telling me like, yeah, my friend, she's going out to some kid on a date and blah, blah, blah. And like, show me a photo. And I'm like, dude, that's Chris. And I
That's the
know you,
same story I got. Oh, that's Chris. I
yeah.
know that guy. We
And
spend
so I
time
was like,
together all the time.
yeah. So I was like, it's crazy how like life works out. And obviously over the years, got married, the whole works and obviously multiple trips. So, yeah, man, obviously super excited to have you on, super honored. And I appreciate you for being on here. Yeah. So obviously I know a lot about you, but I guess for the viewers and the followers, either watching or listening, I guess who's Chris?
That's always the hardest question because you're always going to wonder what you're going to say first because everyone listening in that I know is going to be leaning in saying, is he going to talk to, does he identify himself as this first or this first?
Mhm.
So, with that being said, I'm a husband, father to be, due any day now. I'm a son of immigrant parents, just like you. So we had a mental health journey. Started pretty early for us.
Yeah.
So
Um,
besides that, I've been in law enforcement now for 13 years. I'm currently a detective. I do a lot of like community outreach. I help a lot of people with substance abuse, homelessness, and anything in between. I like to help people that everyone else kind of gave up on. So with that being said, apart from that, in the mental health subject, I'm my department's resiliency officer. So last year, the New Jersey General recognized that there was an increase in um, police suicide and an increase in the burnout rate. So they initiated this program where a selective few officers for each department became like counselors for other police officers. So when police officers go through a traumatic event, I'm one of the guys that they can turn to for counseling. Also, I'm on the negotiating team, the hostage negotiating team. It's now called the crisis negotiation team. It's a part of the SWAT team. I think we deal with more people with crisis than we do hostages, so they kind of changed the name. But it's something that I truly believe in, and I think communication along the way I've done pretty well with. So I'm just here. With that being said, I'm just excited and I'm honored to be on your podcast. So
cool,
let me
man.
tell you my story.
No, I appreciate it, man. And that sounds interesting, obviously, with your career and kind of how it's trajected and your role, right, with helping others. And, it's interesting, like people, either quick to give up, right, or they're the opposite, that they won't keep giving up, right? So seeing you and your role and how it impacts the lives of others, man, I mean, I'm sure it goes without saying, but I'm sure people appreciate you a lot more for what you do, right? Than I think you can imagine. So, kudos on there, for
Thank
sure,
you.
man. Yeah. So cool. Well, I guess to jump in, man. So, you talked about your who you are, right? As a, father to be, husband, law enforcement, all that good stuff. I guess someone looking at you directly, right? What's something that people wouldn't guess just by looking at you, that you've maybe been through or have gone through in the past?
So I can't speak on every law enforcement officer across the country, but a lot of things that people may not know about just any police officer is their experiences that they see in the career. I was told that the average person sees 5 or 6 traumatic events in their lifetime. Traumatic meaning they've seen like a fatal car accident, someone passed away, they saw a heart attack. So the average person sees about five or six in their lifetime. A police officer sees about 8 to 900. So with that being said, not just police, but firemen, first responders in general, they really hold a burden, and it's very it's very difficult sometimes to just go through the motions without having a an escape. So, for instance, as a police officer, there will be times where you're hanging out with the boys, you're at lunch, and you're having a good time. There's like a couple of you guys, you're telling war stories. Next thing you know, you're within 5 minutes from you eating, you're doing CPR on somebody. This isn't like a one-time story. This is just like your average story. So there's times where we run inside a house, everyone's screaming. There's an elderly man on the ground. We're doing CPR. There's times I'm doing CPR and I still have French fries in my mouth because you never know what's going to happen. So a lot of stressful situations as you're doing like the CPR on somebody. You have the family behind you screaming, "Save him! Save him!" You're looking around, you see the old man who's a World War II vet. He's got his pictures on the wall. He's jacked. He's got his honey sitting on his shoulders, and now you're pushing on his chest, and you can hear the family screaming. So you're trying hard, and sometimes it doesn't always work out, and someone passes away right in front of you, and it's your responsibility next to tell the family, who most of the time they're either waiting in the same room or they're waiting down the hall, and you have to take that walk down the hallway, and that's a long walk when you have to tell someone some bad news, and sometimes we have to deliver that bad news, and next thing you know, when someone passes away, it's a real tragedy. Not just the fact that someone passed away, but the steps that go along with it. You have to call a medical examiner, you have to call a funeral home, and that old man who was that family's, you know, king almost, you're now helping them zip him up in a bag, and you're wheeling him down. You're carrying him out of the house that he built, coming back from a war, and you go down the driveway, and the guy you're walking past the flowers you just planted the night before. Fast forward 2 hours later, you're out of work, the paperwork's done, and you're at a family party or you're out with friends and everyone's high-fiving each other, happy Friday, like, and then as if like nothing just happened, as if you don't, deep down that there's a family that's going through the worst day of their life, and as a police officer you just got to live with it. You just have to shake it off. You have to have your coping mechanisms, and you have to lie to people. When people say, "Hey, how was your day? Anything crazy happen?" Nah, no, nothing too crazy. And that's just like a common story that a lot of law enforcement, a lot of first responders have, that I don't think the average person like knows. But on a personal note, do you want to add anything?
No, no, I was gonna say yeah, keep going, and then I'll kind of tag in after that.
On a personal note, in my life, something traumatic happened. I lost one of my best friends as a kid. It was a random attack, and he was murdered down in South Jersey. And you don't really recover from losing a best friend. Like I always say, when you lose someone close to you, like your life gets really quiet, Laz. Like when you lose like that one buddy or a family member, a sibling, or a spouse, your world just shuts down and it gets really quiet. And it's very important to turn that negative energy into something positive, or it's just going to break you down. And
Yeah,
recently, I went down to the guy's trying to get out. He's serving a 55-year sentence. He's trying to get out. And last month, I got to see him in court. I was face to face with the man who killed one of my best friends. So so you never know when walking down the street who you're talking to, who you met, because everyone's got something going for them. So everyone's got a sad story, and I think if more people realize that everyone's going through it, and I think there'll be a lot more empathy in the world.
Yeah, no, and obviously, it's, I guess, in two steps, right? So number one, with your best friend, I mean, that's tragic, and I know we've talked about this kind of offline, but I mean, yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, you think everything is good to go, man. You have all these memories, and then the next day, right? Like it's done, right? And it's out of your control, right? And especially, I can only imagine at a young age, right? Or any age for that matter, but obviously on a younger age, right? You just continue to question, like, why did it happen? Or you may not understand as much, right? Because you may not know the full picture or the full story. And, it's tough, man. So obviously from that perspective, like, empathy all around, right? And that grieving process, I can only imagine, right? How long that took for you, right? And for you to understand and deal with that and still kind of cope through it maybe to this day, right? And
I think the hardest part about losing someone, not just a friend, like I said, a spouse, family member, someone in your inner circle, when you I find when you lose someone close to you, that it doesn't only affect you in bad times when you need a friend, when you're in the gutter, like, oh, I could really talk to him or talk to her, but they're not there anymore. It it ruins good times because when you get that job or you graduate or you want to tell him or her, like, dude, I'm having a baby, I'm having a boy. Um, that high that you get, that something good happens to you, it crashes because when
mm-hmm.
you turn, you know that they're not here to be there for you. So they're not, because they were there for the journey. They saw the hard work, but they weren't there for the finish line. So that part it gets difficult.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, for me, like I've had many people that I know, right, pass and, our age or younger than me. And a lot of it from, my Norwich days and my guys from there. But I think for me, from just like a family, perspective, like I lost both my grandfathers about, over 10 years ago now. But, to your point, right, where like, they started this journey with you, they see you evolve and your evolution of life. And, my one grandfather that lived here, him and I were very close. And, every little thing I would tell him or I would call him or I'd wait till Friday for him to come over and, bring me $20 just because, right. And then tell me about my day, and then like
Yeah.
to not be there, right. To see that. And it's tough, man. So I definitely, I definitely can relate from that sense. Right. And then I think the second part, right, where you talked about, your professional career, I think, obviously commendable, right? Just based off, what you do and some of the stuff you've seen and obviously your journey, right? And how you've progressed through the ranks. But I guess, do you just learn to cope with it? Like, what are you doing to cope or what have you done? Like, I guess to kind of cope with those scenarios, right? Cause they're drastic, right? They're not just walking the mill, right? They're
Yeah.
drastic. I think to your point, they affect not only you, but obviously everyone around that person, right? So, what's coping look like for you in that sense, right? From a
Yeah.
career perspective.
Well, in a career perspective, it's tough because I've seen, and I'm not like a super cop. I'm not like one of those guys to say I've seen it all. And there's guys so much better than me out there doing the same job. But just like as your average cop, I've seen, like, people's last days from babies to elderly people to attempted murders and anything in between. We'll just leave it at that. And it's tough. And if you don't find an escape, it's just going to eat you alive. In policing, suicide rates are up. Alcoholism, substance abuse is up because I feel like some guys, they have like that iron shield that, oh, nothing can bother me, but behind that shield something is rotten. Like that saying, like, oh, chicks dig scars, so they want to be tough, but in order to get those scars, you kind of have to heal. Chicks don't dig bloody cuts, so you have to have a healing process to get those scars. But what helps
100%.
me, I can't like pinpoint a time where it's like this is where I need to start on. on like focusing on like mental health, but finding solutions to like my everyday life, I guess. Just not just police side, take the police part like out just in general. What helps me may not help everybody else. That's why restaurants have menus, right? So like
Yeah.
this person likes
Yeah.
seafood, this person doesn't like seafood, this person's gluten free, this person's allergic to apples. So like anything in
Yeah.
between. That's why you got menus.
That's it.
So I like sometimes I they say don't compare yourself to others. That we grew up hearing don't compare yourself, but I think sometimes you kind of you just compare yourself. It is what it is. So, for instance, if I was going through a stressful situation and I was having a fight with like my parents or something or whatever the case is or my job, I automatically think of my friends that don't have their mothers anymore, or they don't have their fathers anymore, or they just lost their job and now they're beat. So I know you're not supposed to compare yourself, but I have friends out there that would literally kill someone just to have your problems. So like there's buddies that I know that they wish their father was around for them to argue with. So I think seeing that in a police aspect where I've had to deliver bad news to a lot of people over the years that, so and so is not coming home, there was a tragic accident. After seeing that, you kind of see a broad picture of like what really are problems in life. So the getting cut off in traffic, you don't know what that guy is doing. He could be on the way to the hospital to tell his wife goodbye because she's dying of cancer. You don't know what's going on in people's lives. So I try to just sit back and really just take care of myself that way. Also, in reality, in like the universe doesn't care about your feelings. So, like, your feelings aren't going to change the stock market. It's not going to change real estate. It's not going to change the weather doesn't care about your feelings, but your family cares about your feelings. Your inner circle, the people that care about you, they're the ones that matter. So, and there's times where you don't think that you have a support system, but
Mhm.
you do. One
Yeah.
of the saddest suicides that we go to are the ones that the the person who committed suicide left like a note, and like finding those notes, being the first one to find the notes, they get pretty eerie.
Yeah.
And seeing how they committed suicide, sometimes they do it in a clean fashion because they don't want their family to see them like that. So you can tell there's that feeling in the air that this person knew that they had a support system, and because of that, it's very sad because you knew they had avenues to speak to, but they couldn't fight that inner battle and they lost the battle. But in order to help me, I just try to stay busy. I always, either going outside, landscaping, did a lot of that today, cooking, fishing. I know Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is big. I train, a lot of guys train. And what I can say to people is find something where there's improvement for it. So with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that's such a tough sport with a lot of levels of improvement. So and also like when you're not as good like me and you're getting choked out, all you care about is breathing. You don't care about the reports at work that you have to do or the chores around the house. When you're gasping for air, that's all you care about. All those problems seem to just go away when when the 40-year-old father of three is choking you out. So in the gym, in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, it's also quite amusing the people that go to it. You'll have cops rolling with like junkies and accountants are there, and you got kids that just graduated high school rolling with adults with three, four kids. But when you're on the mat, none of that matters. You kind of leave your ego off to the side, and only things on the mat matter. So mental health reasons, it's good to stay distracted and to find something that has levels. So like fishing. You can say like, I'm not catching any fish. What do I have to do? You research this. So now you start picking up a hobby. I'm using the wrong bait. I'm casting the wrong way. I'm in a bad location. So whatever the case is, find a hobby that you can improve on, and seeing those little improvements, um, it's great because it builds your self-esteem. So no one here, let's say running, no one, I can't run a 4 minute mile. But if I could run an 8 minute mile, and then now you have a goal to hit 7:45. So those little goals that you get builds up your self-esteem. And I think it's very important. Also, have multiple hobbies that will help too. Because if fishing's your only hobby and it's December and the lake is frozen, like it ain't gonna work out for you.
Yep.
So um, always have different things to do. Like Thomas Edison, for example, he said someone made fun of him in the story that said he's failed 1,000 times, but the quote is he didn't fail 1,000 times. He found 1,000 ways to not invent the light bulb. So
Yeah.
yeah, jokes on them, I guess.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think so to touch on a few things you mentioned. So number one, right? Like there's no perfect mental health toolkit, right? And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, try one thing, they don't see immediate success, boom, they give up, right? Done. Or they listen to, let's say, your story. Oh, well, Chris, he does landscaping, he does Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Let me go try do that. Oh, but it didn't work for me. So now it's a game over, right? So I think, in one sense, you want to compare yourself to leverage to see what other people are doing, right? To give you that idea, that spark, if you will. But at the same time, like no one knows you better than yourself, right? So like if there's
Yeah.
something deep down inside, like you realize like, hey, I just like being outside. All right, go walking, or dude, just sit outside in the sun, right? Like whatever brings you joy is going to vary for so many people. There's a lot of similarities among us, right? That we do have. But at the end of the day, like be creative. And I think a lot of folks struggle with that, man. And I think they try the whole mental health route or they try to get better. And it's so easy to get discouraged, right? Obviously I know personally for myself, before I took this journey on for myself, like during the pandemic, like, dude, I didn't think mental health was a thing. Number one, I was so machismo, ego, right? I think, and that's more, I think, from my family, right? Being, excuse me, like that first generation here, right? Both immigrant parents, right? Hispanic, that wasn't really a thing, man. Like you didn't deal with your mental health. Like it wasn't really an option. You just like, you got a bad day, dude. Like that sucks. Guess what? Tomorrow's still coming, right? You deal with it, right? And I think back then, and I'm sure with your parents, right, as well, like them coming from Italy and things like that. Like, dude, there's things like you just didn't talk about. And listen, man, back then it was okay, right? And maybe not, right? But it wasn't as big as it is now, right? And I think now we're starting to realize, like, dude, no one's Superman, dude. At the end of the day, right? Like, we all got problems.
With immigrant parents, it's almost like you can't have a bad day.
Yo, yeah, because they'll
How
just
do you
compare
how
their
do,
bad day.
how do you have a bad day from someone who escaped poverty?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
my mom would always like try to one up me if I ever had a problem, like, oh, we're out of toilet paper or something as a little kid. She'll remind me she grew up in a house without running water. So like, how do you top that? So it didn't go my way in school today. Okay, well, after World War II, none of us had jobs, so we had to starve. Okay, thanks, mom and dad.
Yeah.
I can't beat that. So I guess my problems aren't going to matter anymore, and I'm just going to go on my bike and just go to the safe neighborhood.
Yeah. I'm gonna go kick rocks for an hour.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
kick rocks and pull weeds.
Yeah, like I mean that was similar growing up, man. Like my dad too. Like my dad growing up in Cuba, like dude, they didn't have anything, right? So like my end of the world problem at 4, 5, 6 years old, that was my dad's before breakfast, right? Like his life. So it was like, again, and with that, you start to like realize, like, all right, dude, like maybe I just won't bring it up anymore, right? And that's kind of eventually what happened to me. Like I just kept compartmentalizing everything that I was like, dude, I'm not even gonna bother, right? But until I saw that point in my life when I realized, like, dude, like I'm not okay, like mentally, like the lights are on, but like no one's home, right? That's when I realized the most, and I think as most people would during the pandemic, right? Because that was just a shit show to say the
Yeah.
least, right? But being in my tiny little apartment with my wife, it's like, dude, like I don't know, that's where things just kind of got, the best of worlds from a marriage perspective, and then personally, it was like the worst of the world, right? Uh, but again, it didn't happen overnight. Like, dude, I've been on this journey for a while now, and I tell myself like just 1% better every day. As long as I can be better than yesterday, man, like that's a win for me. And
Yeah, that's
frankly,
all that matters.
yeah, like frankly, there's some good days, and then there's some days where they're not good, right? But old me, I'd be pissed off and do something, that I would regret in the morning, or just like block myself off, right? Like close myself off. But now I'm just like, all right, yeah, today sucked. It is what it is. But tomorrow's a new day, right? Like tomorrow's a new day. And, your point about just like perspective, right? Like just having a different perspective, dude. Like we're pretty fortunate, like I live in a house with my wife, like we live in a good neighborhood, man. Like it's quiet. Like I don't really have much problems, right? Compared to other people now, right? So like, we're all dealt with, a decent hand, if you will, right, in life. But how you make of it's what you make of it, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just interesting, man. But again, that's just me talking now, where I've been on this journey for 5 years, right? Where before I was be the guy that like, dude, fuck mental health. What's that,
But you're
right?
stronger now because of it.
Yeah, and exactly. Now I look back and like I always tell myself, like, dude, like I wish I would have just started earlier, right? And I wish I would have put that machoism to the side, that ego to the side, and just started sooner. But guess what? Like I can't dwell on that either, because I'll drive myself nuts if I start looking back at every single time or trying to pinpoint, because the past is the past already, right? Like it's a lesson. Don't want to discredit it, but like I can't keep living in the past because it ain't gonna change, right? So it's not gonna
That's
change,
it.
and yeah, so
They say in losses, like when you lose someone close to you, you don't get over it. You just learn how to live with it.
correct. Yeah, you learn you get stronger, right? Like you said, like you get stronger, you start to deal with it differently, even with loss, right? Family or friends, or maybe it's not loss, but maybe you don't talk to a person anymore, or you don't see that person anymore because you're not in the same state, right? Like, loss is different for everyone, but I think you bring up a good point where like you just get accustomed to it, right? And you learn how to cope with it, and it just gets a little bit easier without just forgetting them, right? But yeah, no. So I mean, it's definitely interesting, the way life is. So
Yeah, yeah. Life is like Game of Thrones. You think the main characters are around for a while and they get killed, and you think, well, they can't kill this guy because they can't kill this guy off. He's the main character, and then you know
yeah,
what? There's a whole extra season after that.
mm-hmm.
So you never know what life's gonna bring you. You think your inner circle is gonna be your inner circle for a long time, and then next thing you know, new chapter begins, and you just gotta live with it.
Yeah, and the thing I realized too, man, like the famous Forrest Gump, man, he said himself, man, life's a box of chocolates. You know what you're gonna
Yeah,
get, and it's true though, right? And like, I think that one point you brought up earlier, like the emotional piece, like because you have a bad day or you have a good day, like the world's not going to change, right? And it's tough to listen to that, but it's absolutely true. Like, dude, you can have a tough day, someone's going to have a tougher day. You can have a great day, someone's going to have a better day. So that comparison is like, they say it's a thief of joy, right?
yeah,
And really, you just have to realize like life isn't as crappy as it is, man. Life isn't always about you. Now you
that's
deal with
it.
it, you deal with it to make yourself better, but you can't live yourself in that circle and of like self-sabotaging, if you will, right? Just because,
Yeah, you can't play victim your whole life.
no, and it's unfortunate, right? And I was that person too for a while, right? I had that like mentality where I was like, dude, like I feel like I can't catch my breath. I feel like everything is going wrong, like this and that, and like I quickly realized like life was still going on, man. People were still meeting up. People were still getting married. People were still doing this, doing that, like, and I'm here all butt hurt still, right? And then I'm like quickly realized like I gotta shift, right? Because shift or not, like it's not going to change, and unless I do, right? So yeah, it's interesting.
Life for you.
Yeah, no, it is,
Crazy
man. It
world we
is.
live in.
Yeah, if that's to say the least. Cool, man. I guess one of the last questions. I know we've kind of talked a lot about all the other, questions and stuff intermixed, but I guess one of the last questions is if you can go back to yourself, man, little Chris, to your younger self, like what would you tell? What would you tell him?
Like buy Bitcoin. Um,
Yeah,
it's
man.
tough because
Dogecoin to the win.
yeah, right. So that's a hard question because I pretty much built my foundation on all my failures,
Yeah,
all my
yeah,
mistakes, my hard times. I built a foundation brick by brick on hard times, and I wouldn't change that. I think the experiences that I've gone through, the hardships that I've gone to, it made my life easier today because your mind it's almost like a muscle. You want to work out, so when you go to the gym, it hurts to go to the gym. Like it's not easy. No one has a fun time on a hard workout. So I mean, the crazy ones do, but you're
yeah,
strong. The pain, the sweat, the blood, the tears that you put in is only gonna produce a better person. Like David Goggins, right? What he used to say, you got to build a callus on your mind. So
yeah,
all
yeah.
those workouts, right? You're making your mind stronger.
Hmm.
And but if I had to say something, I mean, if I had, let's be real, if I really had the opportunity to go back in time and an old time machine and tell myself something, I think I would take that opportunity to try to help someone close to me. So I would probably, you know, not everyone in my inner circle is in my inner circle anymore. So I think I would go back in time and try to prevent some things from happening and just roll the dice and see what happens. So I know a lot of people that have gone through some tragedies. So I think I would try to go back and change that if I honestly had to do something. But with me and my struggles, I think I would leave that alone. I would like to see myself as much as I want to shake myself, saying, "Hey, Chris, like you made it." Like you got the job, you graduated from the academy, you got the girl, like everything worked out. I just want to shake them, say, just relax one night. Just go out one night and don't worry about your career and don't worry about finding her, the perfect person. So, as much as I would want to say that, I wouldn't, just because I'm stronger because of all my struggles, and we'll leave it at that. I don't want to, ruin it. It's like the butterfly effect. I don't want to change anything that I built, even if it was tough.
Yeah, it's like that. I forgot which Back to the Future was, but when like Marty McFly like went back to the future and or back to the past and like
Yeah.
tried to change his course and like ended up like his mom at the time had the hots for him in high school and
Oh
like
yeah, it didn't work out for Marty.
dad, right? And like he
Yeah.
quickly realized like how much better life was as it was, even with all
Yeah.
his problems, right? Than like going back in time and trying to change it. But yeah, no, I mean, I think for me, like the one question I always talk about, and I brought it up in my previous podcast as well, is I think similar to you, right? Like I wouldn't want to change the course, right? Because that course has kind of made who I am, and
Yeah.
every good story has led me to here. Every shitty situation has led me to here. But the biggest thing I think I would say is just enjoy the ride, man.
Yeah.
You don't realize how quickly fucking life goes on, dude, without, like you can be having the best day, you can be having the worst day. Dude, that calendar at 12 switches the next day. Right? And like
Yeah.
you quickly realize like you just don't have much time, man. Like, dude, we're like early 30s, right? Early to mid 30s now. And like, I would do anything to just go back to my childhood for one day, right? Excuse me, and just live that careless life, man. When like there was food on the table,
Yeah.
I was dirty from playing outside all day in the summer, you know, like
Our biggest problems were girls and finding dinner tonight. Like, oh, where's
yeah,
it going
man,
out?
like that was it, man. Like trying to be home before like the street lights went off, right? You know, and
Yeah,
like
hanging out the park.
yeah, just enjoy that like one more time, man, because like you quickly realize, and I still deal with this and think about this every day, man. Like, and I tell Sam this a lot, and you know, to a certain extent, right? Like, you want to live your day the best you can, right? Obviously, there's a lot of factors, and you know, whether it's just careers, whether it's financials, right? Like, there's so many limitations to that, right? But like, with what you got, dude, like, make the best out of it, man. And like, I've to this day still work on it, but like, and enjoy the journey, because like I realized like back in the day, man, like I would tell my mom like, oh, dude, like I can't wait for the next thing because I'm so ready for it. And then I got to that thing, and then I realized that thing I was chasing for so long. Guess what? It was like check. And then what? Right? Then I would search for the next thing to chase, and the next thing, and the next thing, and like you realize, man, like you're chasing things your whole life, right? And
The journey is the reward, really.
yeah, and that's the thing that a lot of people, and I wish I could tell myself that, right? Like back in my 20s or back in my teens, like, dude, the journey is the only memory you're going to have, right? Not the, oh, I wish I did this, or I can't wait for this, or whatever. Like your journey,
You
good,
never
bad.
know when you're in the good times too,
Mm-hmm.
until it's too late. Like
Till it's over.
growing up, you never know when it's the last time you're with your friends at the park. Like, it's just, no one ever says, "Hey, this is the last time we're ever going to meet up at the park today,"
Mm-hmm.
or "This is the last time we're going to go down the shore, and this group's never going to be the same." We never. There's no like farewell. It's
Yeah.
just like, all right, I'll see
Just
you
like,
next time, and then there's just isn't a next time.
yeah.
So you
No,
have to
no.
like live in the moment.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us take that for granted at times, man. I think, obviously social media plays a huge factor into that, right? Because everyone's, you know, it's like a big dick competition, right? So like you're just chasing that next apple, right? We're like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I want to do this vacation, or I want to have this situation, or whatever. It's like, dude, enjoy your journey as much as you can. And because you're right, man. Like at my college graduation, I guess both, right? But my first one, you know, we were all in uniform and stuff, and we're all getting ready to toss our shit up in the air. And our commencement speaker, he was like some 4-star general in the army, but you know, I forgot his name. I have his face right in my mind, but basically he was like, dude, like look to your left and right, man. Like you will probably never see these people again. And sure enough, like that's true, man. Like, you know, I go back every 5 years for like my reunion and stuff. And I just went back for my third, I guess, no, second. So 10-year reunion back last September. And dude, there was people that like I haven't seen in over 10 years. Right.
That's
And
great
it,
that you guys have that every 5 years.
yeah, it's nice. Right. And the years ironically get bigger. Right. So like, instead of vice versa. So like I remember when I was a cadet, like I would see these old timers come in, and it's like, dude, like why are like the recent grads like not really there, but then you got like the class of like 1965 showing up in like 100 people, right? So it's like interesting how that kind of revelation goes. But like, you know, we get closer as the years go by, and I think it's because people start to realize like you said earlier, man, like those memories where you think you're always going to be there, like they're not, right? So like you start to cherish those, right? And appreciate them more, right?
Yeah, like I said,
Whatever
Game
they
of
are.
Thrones, you never know.
Yeah, someone's got a bigger plan, man.
Yeah.
Whether we understand it or not. So,
Very
yeah.
difficult, but I think, when you're playing cards, only having one card in your hand, eventually they're going to know what your cards are. So it's very important to have a lot in the deck. So when one door closes, another door opens, kind of thing. So,
But people understand that, and some don't, right? And some still to this day, like there's been scenarios in my life where I'm like, well, why the fuck did that happen, right? Or why did it happen, right? And like maybe it was because it's supposed to set me up for something else, right? And I just
Yeah,
didn't know it, right? And similar, I know with what you discussed too, is like, things may not be the best outcome, right? Then and there. But maybe it's just something to set you up to,
yeah.
have that callus in your mind, right? Stronger, right? Or that
I just
memory.
think back. I think back of all like the police departments that I applied to, and didn't get the job. I remember being all upset about it. But if I took those jobs, I probably wouldn't be where I'm at now, and I'm happy where I'm at. Or even as a kid, I think the first place I ever interviewed for was the YMCA at the gym. I was like, oh, I'm a shoe in. I've been working out here for years. I live close by. I need a job, and I didn't get it. I was like, wait, what? I didn't get that job? That's like the easiest job, scanning tickets
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the gym passes. And I didn't get it. Next thing you know, I got a job. A buddy of mine at the time worked at the mall. I got a job with him in security. And that kind of started my law enforcement career from like all the stepping stones that I got. And then sometimes I think back if I got that job at the YMCA, would I even be where I'm at? Like, did
Hmm.
that open up a portal of like a whole new world? Would I have like become like a trainer and then maybe a gym teacher? Or I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And you don't
you don't
understand
know.
then, right? And you, like you said, like you get all upset, and rightfully so, right? Because you're like, dude, this is an easy job. I'm a shoe in. And
Yeah,
then reality check, it's like you're not going to get it, right? And someone else, and they probably, let's be honest, turned over that job about 100 times, right from now.
yeah,
But you look at yourself, look at all the successes you've had, right? So, yeah. And again, I'm the king of like being super pissed off and understanding like every situation. And then now I'm like, all right, like it's probably for a reason, right? And similar to me, I've had jobs do that. I've had even schools when I've applied to, right? Like shun me away or not get in, right? But there was a greater purpose somewhere. And here we are, man. Life's interesting to say the least, but you
yeah,
gotta moral of the story, man. You gotta keep pushing on and take it day by day and one day at a time, man.
it doesn't end here. We have a whole life ahead of us.
Yeah. Yeah. God willing, man.
Yeah,
So
I got any day now. I'll be a father, so that's gonna be kind of crazy.
I know, man. I know. I'm
I'm
glad
gonna
we got
start a
to
new
connect.
journey.
Yeah. Glad we got to connect before
Oh, before
the
it's yeah, I don't think we. I'd be in my car doing this interview if I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, and rightfully so, right? Because that's gonna be your new evolution soon, man. I'd be curious to see, like 6 months to a year from now, to have you jump back on, like see like what
Oh,
perspective has
definitely.
changed,
I
because
should
that's
really write down some like goals that I have
yeah, yeah,
with like raising a son, and
mm-hmm.
then looking back and seeing what it's like. What I did start, I'm just not really surprised, but I opened up a Gmail account under his name,
Okay,
my
nice,
soon to be born son,
yeah, yeah,
and I started messaging him before he was born.
that's awesome,
So
man.
I started stories like, "Hey, I did one right after his my wife's baby shower.
Mm,
I had this long story. Hey, we had your baby shower. All the family came. We're looking
that's
forward
cool.
to it. And then I'll do like life stories. We have a family tree that dates back since 1810. So I emailed that to him, and then maybe on his 18th or his 21st birthday, I think I'll send him. I'll tell him what the password is, and
Yeah,
then hopefully it'll have a lot of life stories along the way. Like on this date, you cried all night, and I didn't sleep, and I had to go to work. So that's a
but thanks for that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
yeah,
So I didn't make that story up. Someone told me that idea,
yeah,
and
yeah. I've heard of that
I
before.
stole
Yeah,
it. I thought it
yeah.
was
Hey,
great idea.
now that's cool, man. Yeah, and baby boy is gonna appreciate that many years from now.
I hope so.
Yeah, or he'll just roast you for it. So
Oh yeah, yeah. He'll tell
yeah,
me my grammar. Yeah,
yeah.
just
He's
let
like,
me get
yeah.
it corrected.
No, man, that's awesome though. No, that's cool. I mean, like I said, I think we'll see what happens 6 months to a year from now, and hopefully get you back on, man. See the new perspective of life, man. Because I'm sure that will bring you. I hear it all the time. It's like you don't know like your life or perspective or whatever the story is, and then you have a kid, right? And then your perspective shifts, and like
Oh
you don't,
yeah,
like you don't think of it because you don't know until you have one, right? So,
yeah.
yeah, I'd be
I
curious to
see it
see
all the
how that
time.
looks like.
I see it all the time in law enforcement. A lot of guys, once they have kids, they're like, you know what? Maybe I'll put my vest on, and
Yeah,
maybe I'll wait for backup before I go into that warehouse at 2 o'clock in the morning and there's someone inside. So I guess they appreciate themselves too, not just they have a bigger purpose in life after having a
yeah,
kid.
yeah. No, purpose grows, man,
Yeah,
and then your mindset obviously shifts to that. So, um, cool, man. Well, listen, man, I
yeah,
appreciate you coming on, man. I appreciate it. Again, I can't echo that enough. Obviously, um, I think your perspective is just unique as a whole, right? As who you are. But I think for either those in law enforcement, right, or those father to be, right, like, we're just dudes in general, right? Anyone really, realistically, but to have that perspective always helps. Since what you may be thinking of and may not be strong enough to say it out loud is might be something that you just said in this video, right? To help
yeah.
somebody out, right?
I hope
And
I hope I did. I hope there's someone out there that listens to this and maybe they start their journey today on
mhm.
bettering
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, and that's kind of the whole purpose of me too in this podcast. It was like, dude, if I can just help one person, man, like that's it, right? At the end of the day, like help one person do better or help one person be better for themselves, right? Like at the end of the day, that's all I can ask for. So
That's great.
yeah, man. But all right, brother. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Thanks
And
again for having me.
all right, man. Till next time. Yeah.